Thursday, June the 11th. We spent some time in 1 Peter, but if we're going to think anything about Peter, then if you're like me, we ask ourselves, why is it that Peter is such a favourite? Why we're so fond of him? Why we identify with him? And I think it's because he gives us hope. Because Peter is the one who cries out confidently, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." But then a few verses later, Jesus says to him, "Get behind me, Satan," because Peter doesn't want to hear that Jesus is going to die. Peter is the one that has the courage to get out of the boat when Jesus is walking on the water. But then when Peter realizes he's walking on water, then suddenly he begins to sink. Peter it is who slices off the soldier's ear when Jesus is being arrested. We love Peter. But it was also Peter who met Jesus' gaze across the courtyard as we looked at Easter, having denied Jesus 3 times and was crushed by it and went out to weep bitterly. This is what Max Lucado says in his book Cast of Characters, looking at Bible characters, about Mark chapter 16. And he picks on 2 words that I admit I hadn't read the way Max Lucado speaks about, but it's worth reading. This is what he says. "It was like discovering the prize in a box of Cracker Jacks, or spotting a little pearl in a box of buttons, or stumbling across a $10 bill in a drawer full of envelopes. It was small enough to overlook. Only 2 words. I know I'd read that passage 100 times, but I'd never seen it. Maybe I'd passed over it in the excitement of the resurrection, or since Mark's account of the resurrection is by far the briefest of the 4, maybe I'd just not paid too much attention. Or maybe since it is the last chapter of the Gospel, my weary eyes had always read too quickly to note this little phrase. But I won't miss it again. It's highlighted in yellow and underlined in red. You might want to do the same. Look in Mark chapter 16. Read the first 5 verses about the women's surprise when they find the stone moved to the side. Then feast on that beautiful phrase spoken by the angel. He is not here. He is risen. But don't pause for too long. Go a bit further. Get your pencil ready and enjoy this jewel in the 7th verse. Here it comes. The verse reads like this: "But go, tell his disciples and Peter that he is going before you to Galilee." Did you see it? Read it again. This time I italicized the words. "But go, tell his disciples and Peter that he is going before you to Galilee." Now tell me if that's not a hidden treasure. If I might paraphrase the words, "Don't stay here, go tell the disciples," a pause, then a smile, "and especially tell Peter that he is going before you to Galilee." What a line. It's as if all of heaven had watched Peter fall, and it's as if all of heaven wanted to help him back up again. Be sure and tell Peter he's not left out. Tell him that one failure doesn't make a flop. That's why we love Peter. More importantly, that's why we love Jesus' relationship with Peter. especially when we begin to realize that Jesus chose Peter as the rock on which he was going to build the church. This impetuous, impulsive, very human disciple was the rock for Jesus, a best friend for Jesus, one of the three who Jesus keeps the closest. And yet, Peter was flawed, and Peter did fail. But Jesus says, Peter, I'll build my church on you, because when you place yourself in my hands, when I have restored you, you will be all I could ever ask you to be. Max Lucado finishes like this. It's not every day that you get a second chance. Peter must have known that. The next time he saw Jesus, he got so excited that he barely got his breeches on before he jumped into the cold water of the Sea of Galilee. It was also enough, so they say, to cause this backwoods Galilean to carry the gospel of the second chance all the way to Rome, where they killed him. If you've ever wondered what would cause a man to be willing to be crucified upside down, maybe now you know. It's not every day that you find someone who will give you a second chance, much less someone who will give you a second chance every day. But in Jesus, Peter found both. And most importantly, we recognize that so do we. Someone who will give us a second chance, someone who knows our flaws, someone who sees every day where we slip up, make mistakes. But so long as when the messenger comes via the Spirit, come on, Tracy, it's time to come back. Come on, Tracy, it's time to put the mistakes behind you. Come on, we've got work to do. So long as we get up and move forward, we will always be given a second chance. All we have to do is reach out, take Jesus' hand, and take the second chance. Just take it. That's my thought for today. See you tomorrow.